What's going on YouTube? So there are a lot of three-row mid-size crossovers on the market. It's actually hard to even remember all your different choices.
Subaru, though, is hoping to stand out with this stylish yet affordable Onyx Ascent.
So with rising prices amongst the rivals, is this the best stylish and affordable three-row you can buy? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alrighty, the first place we're going to start off with is under the hood, as always, with our spec dump. So the Ascent actually keeps things very easy. We just have one powertrain option. It's going to be a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is going to be making 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque.
All models have a CVT. They're also all going to have symmetrical all-wheel drive as standard equipment. And as far as your fuel economy is concerned, it's sitting at 21 miles a gallon combined.
Now, as always, later on in the review, we're going to go out for an extensive test drive. While we're on that test drive, we're going to get things like our signature sound level reading so that you can compare this to all the other three-row crossovers on the market right now at carconfections.com. But let's first close up the hood and take a look at this exterior package, because this is definitely the most stylish Ascent on the market. So for 2024, you continue to have the same lineup of trim levels available. However, we want to highlight the Onyx Edition trim levels because, as we said, these are the most stylish versions in the lineup. You have a lot of really cool black accents up here in the front, including in the fascia, and you're looking at a starting price in the low 40,000s for the standard Onyx Edition, or you can also get the Onyx Edition Limited, which is what we have today, and that one is just going to have more equipment on the interior. Nevertheless, like I was saying, you've got the full black fascia. You have this more aggressive look down here in the lower part, giving you a more dynamic look. I also want to point out all of the Ascents are always going to have 8.7 inches of ground clearance, which is quite good for this segment. Now, in terms of our headlights, this is another thing that's quite good for the segment. You're looking at having full LED adaptive headlights on all trim levels of this model. You also have an LED daytime running light that bends around it. Plus, starting at the Onyx Edition, that's where you're going to get LED fog lamps down at the bottom. And around back, the stylish accents of the Onyx Edition continue as well.
Yeah, one of those stylish accents, you'll notice this piece right through the middle. This is going to be fully blacked out for the Onyx version. I really like the way that looks, as well as your Ascent branding. Now, Drew went ahead and hopped inside because here at Car Confections, we want to test out all the taillight elements to see if they're all LED. And we do have an LED brake light portion. However, we're going to have an incandescent turn signal and reverse light. This is one area where the Ascent might be starting to show its age just a little bit. I would like for all three elements to be LED. As we drop down to this lower area, it's going to be made of a beefy cladding. Really like the way this looks. They're also all going to have dual integrated exposed exhaust outlets. Really like that as well. As far as your tow rating, it's very class competitive at 5,000 pounds.
Now, as far as wheel choices are concerned, you begin at 18-inch alloy wheels. However, the Onyx Edition, as well as your top-end touring trim level, is going to come with 20-inch alloy wheels. Very nice look to these. As you can tell, we do have the gloss black finish matching with the front grille. And then you've got the rugged wheel arches there. You have a gloss black finish on the mirrors themselves as well. And in terms of features, all but the base model will come with blind spot monitoring. You are also going to have power folding when you choose to have this version today, and auto dimming is an available accessory.
Now here at the side, you can of course see that this is a large three-row SUV. As far as the overall vehicle length, it's coming in at 196.8 inches long, which is a good size for this segment. Now, I do also want to point out just a few features real quick. We do have black window surrounds, and all versions of the Ascent will come with a raised roof rail, so you'll be able to keep whatever you need on the roof. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, After the refresh last year, we have a new wide angle camera, which is the latest camera that Subaru is using for all 4 of your active safety features that are now standard equipment on all versions. I do also want to point out, if you choose the Onyx edition or above, that will additionally include rear auto braking. But guys, that's going to wrap up the exterior design of this Onyx Ascent. Let's go ahead and see what you get on the inside. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
But of course, this is a 3-row after all, so we need to check out the interior. And of course, we'll start that process off by taking a look at the key fob. We do have a smart entry system, which begins on the Onyx edition. Getting inside with that system is as simple as just grabbing behind the door handle that will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. All right, let's go ahead and look inside the cabin. Of course, one of the things about the Onyx edition is that it is pretty stylish on the inside as well as the exterior. And I want to start off by talking about your material and color choices. So base and premium are the models with cloth seats. However, once you get to the Onyx edition, both versions of the Onyx edition are going to come with StarTex leatherette. That's what you're looking at right now. It's a very durable faux leather, and it is finished in a cool 2-tone design with the gray, black, and we also have contrast stitching running throughout. Limited and the top-end touring models will come with real leather. Down below, we do have the premium seat. This is the top seat choice. You're going to have 4 ways of lumbar support and 12 ways of total adjustment, as well as memory seats right in the door trim, and you have a manual thigh extension. But let's go ahead and get inside. Now that we're inside the Ascent, let's go ahead and look around at the rest of the cabin materials. We'll start out with our door trim. It really is a nice reflection of the materials on the seat because we have the leatherette armrest, gray in the center, black over there with that same yellow stitching. It is soft touch along the top. As we move to the upper dash, this is all going to be a soft touch plastic. We have the leatherette material with the stitching running through this center section. And then down here on our lower areas, these are not going to be padded, but they do feel solidly put together. Now we'll go ahead and fire it up with the push button start. You'll find standard on the Onyx edition and above. And now that it's fired up, let's go ahead and zero in on some of the specific details of the cabin. We'll start with our gauge cluster. This is a traditional style gauge cluster. It's typical in the Subaru lineup. So you've got a 4.2-inch multi-function display right there in the middle. You can reconfigure several different types of information inside of that, but some of your more useful multi-function information will actually be located in your main display. The way Subaru arranges things, you can actually access some of that stuff up here in this top panel of the display. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, pretty much every version except the base model will come with the leather wrap steering wheel. Again, we have some yellow stitching on board. One of the nice features though is that both the Onyx editions will come with a heated steering wheel, and it is manual tilt and telescoping. Now, as a never done that before. Now, as a family 3-row, storage is very important, so let's go ahead and check that out. Now, at Car Confections, we do like to do a thing called the donut test because that is our emblem after all. And inside of this very deep and wide center console, we can fit 19 donuts. That is excellent. Obviously, that exceeds the dozen donuts that passes our test. And as you can see, it's going to be plenty of space for whatever you need. Now, up in front of that, you've got your 2 cup holders. You have a little storage cubby up here. This can be optioned to be a wireless phone charging pad, although it is not on this example. And we also have a nice passenger storage shelf through there. Coming back to the shifter, no crazy electronic stuff. So if you like the old school, this does have the old school shifter. Just pull back for drive. Bump over here to the left if you want to activate a manual shift mode, and you can even use the paddle shifters for that. When we go into reverse, you're going to see a 360-degree camera system on many of your top trim levels. This was something that Subaru newly added last year with the refresh, and as you can see, you've got both those traditional views as well as a parking sensor visualization down below. And then back behind the shifter, you have your electronic parking brake. This does also have brake hold. You just turn it on inside of the screen. Now, speaking of screen, we might as well get into that because pretty much all the rest of the functions of this interior are going to be inside of the large 11.6-inch display. Inside of the lower panel of the display will be our climate controls. So let's start with that. 3-zone automatic climate setup. You do have physical controls here, so you can still adjust the temperature. Subaru does say that they have separate processing for this to keep it nice and speedy from the main infotainment system. Our experience with it has been pretty positive. You can do some things like your fan speed adjustments and rear climate down here. This is also where you'll find your controls for your 3-stage heated seats on all but the base model. Ventilated seats are reserved, however, for the top touring trim. And then above that, you also have a physical volume knob. Now, there's a couple different sound systems you can get, but we do have the up-level 14-speaker Harman Kardon sound system, and we'll go ahead and give that a sample right now. This is a very impressive sound system. Some of the vehicles in this segment kind of cheap out on the audio system, but having 14 speakers and a Harman Kardon sound system means you're going to have really good sound quality. All right, now let's focus on the infotainment aspect of the big display, which is going to be right in here in the center section. As you can see, right now I've got Android Auto pulled up. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay are both on board and they both run wirelessly, so that's a nice feature. In terms of the main infotainment system itself, this is Subaru Starlink, so it's going to be the typical affair. You've got your apps running through here. You also have some of your vehicle functions located right there where you can press that vehicle, and overall it's pretty responsive. Now, you do have built-in navigation as well on some models, and then up top here, we have an auto-dimming mirror, 3 HomeLink universal remotes, and a compass built in. You can get a smart camera mirror on your top trim. This, though, is a nice feature I do want to point out. The base Onyx edition will still come with this panoramic sunroof. It's a very large piece of glass, and the front panel does open up.
Now, of course, family SUVs, the second and third row areas are very important, if not more important than what you get in the front. So let's go ahead and dive into what this Ascent is giving you. As far as the legroom is concerned, we're sitting at 38.6 inches of legroom, 40 inches of headroom. That's a very good headroom figure, although the legroom figure is going to be lacking behind a lot of the main competition like Honda Pilot, the Toyota Grand Highlander, the Hyundai Kia siblings, so certainly do keep that in mind. You're not going to have the most legroom in the Ascent. However, I did bring my ruler so you can have a good reference point. I'm 5'9". This seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and we are sitting at a solid 8.5 inches of knee space. My feet can slide up underneath the seat, so you're definitely not going to have like a huge issue in terms of space. It's enough space, it's just not the most in the segment. I want to point out that your seats can slide forward and back a very good distance. Actually, they can slide all the way to where they're touching the front seat, so if you have a kid, you can easily reach back and smack them if they're not behaving. And I'm sure Subaru exactly had that in mind with their marketing materials. Now, as far as the seating configurations back here are concerned, if you choose an Onyx or Touring, you're going to have the standard captain's chair setup back here. Premium and limited trim levels will have a standard bench seat with the option of getting captain's chair. So I like that Subaru is giving you the option, even on high and low trim levels, to get captain's chairs or bench seating, depending on what your seating needs are, between 7 or 8 passenger seating. Now, here in the center, let's go ahead and dive into this. We have our own climate controls back here. Very easy to use. Additionally, since we have the Onyx limited trim level, we're going to have heated rear seats. That's standard on limited, Onyx limited, and Touring trim levels. Down below that, we have a USB-A, a USB-C. This is where the household outlet would be if you chose a Touring trim level. Then if we drop this down, you do have 2 more cup holders that just kind of fall down there. I like that Subaru is giving you that additional usability. As far as other features are concerned, we have vents up out of the ceiling, and the door trim is going to be nicely done. We have a rear window sunshade on this model, and then down below that we have nice materials with more of that leatherette going through here. We also have a cup holder in the top area And we have 3 cup holders in the bottom area. I believe Subaru says that in the Ascent you have 19 total cup holders. So whatever drinks you're going to have along with you, you certainly will be able to put them in a spot. And let's go ahead and check out the 3rd row, because that's very important for a family 3 row, and see how it falls on the Car Confections 3rd row rating scale. Now, in order to get back here, it's quite easy. You just pull this little lever. That is step 1, and that allows it to just slide easily out of the way. You can also fold it down using different levers here on the side. And then getting back here, we have a pretty nice 3rd row in the Ascent. As far as the legroom figures are concerned, you're sitting about 31.7 inches of legroom, about 36 inches of headroom. As far as the headroom is concerned, someone who's 5'9", my hair is barely starting to scrape the ceiling, so definitely kids are going to fit back here perfectly fine. As far as the legroom is concerned, I have no additional legroom with the seat slid all the way back, but do keep in mind it can go forward more. My feet can slide up underneath the seat, and the thigh support is what I would call above average for the segment. I want to point out there are 3 seats back here. We also have a ton of cup holders. We have 2 cup holders, and we do have vents coming out of the ceiling. So as far as how this rates on the Car Confections 3rd row rating scale, I'd say this is certainly approved for in-laws. Onyx trim levels of the Ascent and above will have the power tailgate. And let's go ahead and dive into the cargo capacity. Now, behind the 3rd row of seats, you have 17 cubic feet. If we fold the 3rd row down, we're sitting around 44 cubic feet, and as a maximum, we're about 75 cubic feet for this Ascent model. Now, as far as how that compares to the rivals, this is going to be one of these smaller 3-row SUVs in the market. Your Hyundai Palisade, your Honda Pilot, Kia Telluride, Grand Highlander, all of those vehicles come in quite a bit above this, about 10 cubic feet or more than the Ascent. That being said, that's not a bad amount of space, that's for sure. And let me go ahead and show you how to fold the 3rd rows. Now, we do not have a power folding 3rd row on any version of the Ascent, so do keep that in mind. But folding it is pretty easy. You just grab that little strap. That's going to allow it to fold down easily. When you do that, you can then fold the 2nd row, although there's not any buttons back here, so you do have to go up to the 2nd row itself to fold it down. And now that I've went ahead and folded those seats down, it did take a little bit longer than some of the other rivals take, but I'm going to go ahead and get the cargo length figure, because that's something that a lot of you guys are looking for. And we are sitting at an overall cargo length of about 84.5 inches from the driver's seat. If you are curious, from the 2nd row of seats, that figure is going to be more like 48 inches of length. And let's go ahead and get our cargo width figure. For cargo width, we are sitting at 45.5 inches of cargo width. So very good figures when it comes to that area. Just do be aware the overall cargo volume is going to be less than some of those rivals. As you can see, the seats actually don't fold completely flat in the 2nd row, so that's going to be an area that you lose some cargo space. As far as this underfloor storage area, we have a little bit of space. We can even put our cargo cover. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2024 Subaru Ascent. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about quite a few different things, including getting our sound level reading, which we promised at the spec dump. But first, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, and there's our acceleration up to 60 miles per hour. Now, of course, with this Ascent, as we discussed on the exterior spec dump, this does have a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. This is the same family that you have seen in the XT version of the Outback, for example. And overall power here is pretty good. You have 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque. The torque figure is a nice, healthy amount, and you can feel that. I think that's the predominant thing you feel when you put your foot down, is that you actually do have that sensation of pushing you back in your seat, because it is pretty strong off the line.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the thing you'll notice the most about this compared to some of the competition. Also, I will say that even despite it having less horsepower, it doesn't feel too slow. It doesn't feel quite as fast as some of the rivals, but it's definitely not like something that you're going to think is super slow.
Yeah, for me, it's like probably a sensation versus reality difference going on. If you get your timer out, this will be slower than some of the competition, but actually driving it behind the wheel, it feels really quick, like I said, off the line, which makes you feel like it's just as fast as anything else out there. And as we come to a stop here at this red light, it is a good time for me to mention that this actually does not have auto start stop. So when we've been driving the Crosstrek, the Forester, and the Outback, all of those models did have the auto start stop system. This one actually does not. So if you're anti-auto start stop, this is a golden opportunity for you, I guess.
Yeah. And as far as the fuel economy is concerned, let's go ahead and talk about that as well. Since all models do have symmetrical all-wheel drive, we do have only one fuel economy figure. That's going to be coming in at 1925-21 miles a gallon combined. I guess there are, two fuel economy figures, because if you get the base and premium trims with the smaller wheels, you do get slightly better fuel economy at 22 miles a gallon combined, but really all the models are going to be coming in at that pretty much same 21-22 mpg figure.
Now as I lightly accelerate up to speed, one of the things you might be noticing is the fact that you don't hear any conventional transmission shifts. That's because we do have the continuously variable transmission that we mentioned a little bit earlier. This will be a good place to demonstrate, as a matter of fact. So as you can tell, you do have some simulated gear changes, but they don't, shift it in exactly the conventional way.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be simulating an 8-speed automatic.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have quite a bit of simulation, actually.
Right, and you don't have to go full throttle, which is something I appreciate. Some of the, other automakers have done it where unless you go completely full throttle, that's the only time you're going to get the simulation. This does work most of the time as well. It's nice and responsive in the CVT as a whole. When you put your foot down, you don't have to wait very long to get a response and get the engine in the correct RPM area. So overall, yes, it is a continuously variable transmission, but I think they've done a good job of tuning this for the package.
Speeding up to 55 miles an hour, let's go ahead and get our sound level reading. 57.5 is our official sound level reading, going 55 miles per hour. And we have tested out a ton of these 3-row SUVs, and we can actually compare this Ascent to those 3-row products on our website, carconfections.com/sound level readings, and see how good it is. That does place it in the upper half of the segment in the louder options, but overall I do feel like pretty much everything in this segment is relatively quiet. You might just find a few quieter options in some of the more luxurious stuff like the Hyundai Palisade and Kia Telluride. And I do also want to just take a second here to talk about the ride quality. This is a family 3-row, and really one of the main missions of a family 3-row is to be comfortable. Here with the Subaru Ascent, I've been nothing but impressed. It does a good job. We have large wheels on this particular model, and it does a good job of just really taking out all of the harshness of hitting a bump. You can feel some intrusions into the cabin, but overall, I am very happy with the ride quality of this Ascent.
As we went around that corner there, it was a good time to just go ahead and mention, of course, we do have a nice lightweight steering setup on board to give this a pretty maneuverable feel around town.
And let's go ahead and dive into one of our other elements, which will be our slam dunk and airball, our favorite element and our least favorite element about this Ascent. Drew, do you want to go ahead and kick us off with the slam dunk for this model?
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be the style for the price. It's a great value proposition in the Onyx edition trim level in particular. You have just a fantastic mixture, I think, of features, the design, and again, you have a really good price for the segment. A lot of the competition is just getting higher and higher in price, and this one here still seems to have that better value proposition.
Yeah, I would say that's across the entire Ascent lineup. It tops out under $50,000 when a lot of the rivals are well into $55,000 territory. Now, as far as our airball is concerned, honestly, it's going to just be the Onyx Limited trim level specifically. And hear me out when I say this, I think that just the regular version of the Onyx is your better choice, because when you look at the feature setup, the main features that you're adding are heated rear seats, 360 camera, and the audio system. However, the price rises quite a lot for the Limited, and they're visually indistinguishable, and the Onyx really, with its $41,000 starting price, is a fantastic value for a 3-row. So I would recommend maybe getting that model if you're price conscious. And lastly, in regards to your warranty, Subaru does a 3-year 36,000 mile basic warranty, a 5-year 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. However, they do not do any complimentary maintenance. And let's talk pricing. So like we've mentioned throughout this review, the Onyx version has a very stylish package with a lot of features for an affordable price tag. So let's go ahead and break down some of the versions of the Ascent. So we're going to start out for 2024 about $34,000 for the base trim level. As you move up the structure, the Onyx starts at $41,500. So that's a very attractive price point. We actually have the Onyx Limited version. So we have the few extra features that includes in there, plus some of the accessories on this particular model and the $1295 destination. We're sitting at $48,949 as tested, and of course the Touring starts at around $48,500. So honestly, if you're looking for my professional opinion, I would just get the standard version of the Onyx and save several $1,000s. But if you're in the market for any new vehicle or a Subaru Ascent, we would recommend you go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now on our website, we have a tool that will connect you with local dealers in your area to get you the best price on your new vehicle. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealer negotiation. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2024 Subaru Ascent. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you help us to make a lot more of these car reviews where we can inform you of some trim level information as well as just the newest cars on the market. So please hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Additionally, we want to remind you, if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, because you do make this all possible and it means a lot to us. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.